Okay, Alex, so you're aware of why we're here today. The reason we want to go through this with you is you're someone that is a self-professed expert in the field of love, with the journey now taking you to marriage, which is the pinnacle of love. Can you take us through, perhaps your journey, starting from the love at first sight?
I mean, love at first sight, I think, is, I see it as pure visual attraction. Like all men, I really do think that, yeah, I mean, we are shallow. When I saw Becky for the first time, I thought, oh, hello. Which is obviously the universally known male thought for, she's attractive. Let's say we had boxes to tick. I had face, yeah, she's beautiful, tick. Physique, yeah, spot on, tick. My boxes are ticked. That is the first sight, that is done. From her point of view, I think, you've got a few more boxes to tick. She'll look at it and go, right, okay, does he have his own teeth? Box ticked. Oh, I've met him in his place of work. He has a job, employed, ticked. Is he wearing a hat? Yes, he is. Is he wearing a hat to cover anything? No, he isn't. Tick.
Can I just say, beyond that, do you think that they still have the same two, face and physique?
So yeah, I think they probably do start it as well with, yeah, they're an attractive man. Tick. Let's break it down and get deeper. Sense of humour and things like that. Shoes. Are they wearing nice shoes or boots? Or are they wearing knackered old running shoes where the sole's falling off, like high-tech Silver Shadows? My dad used to wear those. They tend to go quite far with it, whereas being a man, we'd look at it and go, yeah, you're really hot. And part of looking at them and going face tick, body tick is, what are they wearing? Do they look hot? Yes, they do. If you look at them and they look smelly, you're not gonna tick that box. You're gonna go, right, okay, dead in the water.
How did it progress at the end of that first sight meet?
What was great was I obviously initiated the flirting, and the flirting was battered back at me in a positive way. So we both were enjoying some flirting, and that led to her giving me a number. And then from the exchange of numbers comes, let's go out for it, let's go on a date. Maybe not with that term. You'd go, would you like to come out for a drink, or shall we meet up? You'd want to say meet up. That's what I definitely say to anybody watching this is, don't use terms like, do you want to hook up? Or hang out. Hang out suggests that it's a friendly thing. Hookups, there's a little bit more, you're as if you're expecting more. Let's hook up.
So the first sight was successful and you secured her number, which enabled you to progress things further on the journey of love to dating.
Dating's something that I feel I've got a really good background of knowledge on, with what the do's and don'ts of dating, essentially. The things that get you in a better position than you may be initially anyway. What you want to do on a first date, you've got to make sure that you hit expectations of a good time, but you don't set your standards so high that you can't compete with it. You've got to continue at that level for the whole relationship. No, you start off with a, let's go somewhere nice, as in, let's go to a nice restaurant, but where geographically, what location? Let's go somewhere that isn't maybe that nice. Also, by going somewhere that isn't really that nice, it emphasises how great you are.
And how do you think that works? So where was your first date?
Well, I took Becky to a lovely Italian restaurant, which is a chain of restaurants, very nice. And and geographically, that was located in Torquay. You hear about Torquay from northern relatives quite often, going, oh, you're that love, Torquay is quite nice. It's not quite nice, but by going there on a first date, I am one of the 5% of males in Torquay at that point with all of my own teeth. And I'm employed, and I know how to wear deodorant and aftershave. And so I'm already setting a really good example of, here I am, And in my head, I'm like big fish in a small pond. In her head, I am, you know, this is it. You know, she's getting locked into me purely on the fact that I'm coming across so well. It's all about comparison at first.
The first date clearly worked because you're still together. Was there more dates after this?
Yeah, you've got, after the first date, you've had a successful first date. And we did have a successful first date. I had a kiss on the first date, so, you know, could you get any more successful?
And for you in that moment, you're feeling the experience of, is this love?
Yeah, that's where it starts gripping you. Like, I'm intrigued by this person. You know, yes, she's beautiful. She can dress herself, which is always a bonus. She can drive, excellent. I couldn't drive at the time. But you start thinking, there's so much more to this girl. She's amazing.
Tell us about that second date and how you furthered the opportunity for romance.
The second date is what I like to call the be a hero date. So in regards to, locationally, you go somewhere a bit nicer, but you want to go somewhere where there is an element of peril, i.e. gives you the opportunity to try and be a hero. And we're not talking about severe peril. We're not talking about, you know, potentially death. That's too much for a second date. You wait for that sort of peril till, you know, you get engaged. I suggested, let's go to Cornwall. Let's go have a picnic in Cornwall. Cornwall's got lots of beautiful places. Yes, it does. I didn't pick one of the beautiful places. I picked a place that is maybe 2-3 up from Torquay. I picked Loo. The theory behind that is, this is the start of winter. It's a beachside town. You've got a lot of peril start of winter, or across the whole of winter in a beachside town. You have, first and foremost, the angry seagulls who are used to swooping down and taking holiday makers' chips and ice creams and stuff like that. Angry, angry seagulls. Secondly, sand and wind doesn't mix. You've got a lot of perils, low-level perils, but perils that you could be a hero of. And by setting that in motion, you've got the opportunity to cement it and go, yeah, you know, you find me attractive, but also, you know, I'm now your hero. Because you're given an opportunity where, oh, there's a seagull, bat it away. Or, oh, the sand being blown, I'll shield you with this blanket. Oh, look, preconceived, done.
After that, I guess the next stage on the love journey is the introduction to the family.
Yeah, normally, not in my case with Becky. After the successful first date, literally straight after, I couldn't drive at that point in time. So she offered to drive me home. Without really thinking it through, met my mother, my father, and both of my brothers.
Having met Steve and Karen Palmer,
yeah,
and likewise you meeting Beck's parents, you go on to the next stage of commitment.
Yes, I think some relationships that is a slower build-up. Again, in mine and Becky's case, you know, we are in a relationship. That decision was kind of made, enforced by the rapport that Becky and my mother had. They'd already started picking us out houses, not even 3 months into since our first date. Sometimes decisions get made where you haven't really got any decision to make yourself. You just go, oh, okay.
You then move on from this decision to make commitment to living together.
Once you're living with someone, this is where you make the entire decision about where your life's heading. Do you want to be, is that the right person for you? You will know when you're living with them. Little things like when you have an argument, where does it go? Does it get blown out of proportion and somebody threatens to break up with someone else? If they do, it's not going to last.
How do you survive an argument?
My preferred method is the ridiculous end to an argument. So, for instance, when Bex and I lived in a flat in Plymouth, you know, that was about 4 months into our relationship, we were living in a flat in Plymouth. We were having an argument about something ridiculous. So probably the telly was too loud from her point of view, not loud enough from my point of view. And it went from being a disagreement to being a full-on screaming match that got to the point where Bex was trying to leave the flat, and I stopped her by blocking the door. And then what came over me then was a pure moment of ingenious argument stopping. I ripped off the dressing gown I was wearing at the time and tossed it to the side, like the Incredible Hulk, you know, ripping through his top. Ugh! And she found that so funny that she started laughing, which then made me laugh. And that was it.
It's quite clear to me that you're deeply in love, but
I am.
When is it that you become to feel comfortable?
When you don't really care about what you wear when you go to bed. So once you start wearing clothes you wouldn't wear outside in front of each other, that is again a big signifier of this is a committed relationship. I remember one day just, you know, casting a glance to the sofa, you know, because we have separate chairs. That's another thing that goes into the longevity of relationships. You know, don't always share a sofa together. But yeah, I glanced across to the other side of the room, and I just saw her in the worst pair of trousers I've ever seen in my life, with like unicorns and stuff like that on, a top that didn't match, you know, looking tired, and I just thought, yeah, if I can cope with that, I can cope with anything. I love her very much. We need to get married. And then I set about coming up with a plan for the proposal. Nothing flashy. I think if you go flashy, you know, you're missing something in a relationship. Flashy is rubbish. If you feel you have to do a massive romantic gesture, like, you know, taking her up the Eiffel Tower and then kneeling on one knee and then getting a dolphin to sort of jump out of a pool over the Eiffel Tower and spray out of its fountain hole the ring into her hand. I mean, you're missing something in a relationship. You don't need to do that. I didn't do that. It goes back to dating. Go somewhere geographically quite nice, but when it comes to proposal, you make sure that the scenery behind you is spectacular. Geographically, it's a bit better than, say, the second date we went on. So it's got to be nicer than Lou. The scenery's got to be cracking though. That's Teignmouth. And so, got there, did the job. I won't go into the slushy details. It was very lovely, she cried.
That kind of takes us up to the now and what comes next.
Kid, cats, rabbit. We've already got the cats and rabbit in place. A house, and yeah, just growing grey and pallid together in the way that we've spent the last 8 years together, which is a combination of ridiculous arguments and fighting, but also very ridiculous appreciation of each other for some of the stupid stuff that we do together. And that's the most important thing. Do stupid things together and you'll enjoy each other more and more. And I do, and I love Becky Killingbeck very much. Soon to be Palmer Killingbeck. At least I get the first surname.
Probably won't.
Unless you run away.
Can you just clap once more for me?